Welcome into Locked On Phillies. The Phils lose a mind-numbingly bad game to the Miami Marlins, and I put it on four people's plate, three players and the new manager. I'll break down exactly what I'm talking about on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Been talking Phillies baseball for years. Happy to be here with you as your host of Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Sorry, my mic is falling apart just like the Philadelphia Phillies did during yesterday's late innings. We'll talk you through exactly what happened in the game. And in the tease, I told you about four people that I'm laying this loss on. Let me tell you exactly who they are right off the bat. Number one, Jeurys Familia. Number two, JT Realmuto. Number three, Corey Knebel. And number four, Rob Thompson. It's just, there are games you lose where you go, okay, you got beat by a better team. Or, okay, that team was better this day, even though they're not better overall. Like, you're going to face the Marlins, and they're going to go out, and they're going to have Sandy Alcantara throw a great game, beat a team better than them. That would have been okay with me in yesterday's game with everything that went on, or 2 days ago's game, rather, at this point, when the Phillies ended up winning on the walk-off by Rhys Hoskins. This game, though, there's no explanation for it. It should not be possible that they lost the game. They had a point where they had a 95% chance to win the game, and they just choked it away in just vintage Philadelphia Phillies fashion. Before we get into the negatives, I mean, just real quick positive. Rhys Hoskins is tearing the cover off the ball. He was incredible. We'll talk about it as we go through the play-by-play and the scoring plays and everything like that. He deserves his props because he did everything he could to help this team win, and it still wasn't enough. Let's get started as we run down through the game and break down exactly what happened. Zach Eflin, for the second time in as many starts, just had a really rough start to this one. Aguilar with a homer to left field for 2 runs, scoring Jorge Soler. 2-run homer right off the bat. And then Avisel Garcia goes to center for 403 yards, scoring Sanchez. And just like that, it's 4-0 in the first inning. All of that with 2 outs. And Zach Eflin, well, it's his second straight start, the last one against the Brewers, where he's fallen apart early. Now, in both of the games, he actually settled in nicely, and he did so again last night. He ended up having a all right night. He put you in position where you could win this one. And, well, what did the Phillies do? Well, in the bottom of the third, they get 1 back. JT Realmuto, after striking out with the bases loaded earlier and grounding into a double play with the bases loaded earlier, grounds into a fielder's choice to shortstop and scored Kyle Schwarber. Now Bryce Harper was out at second. JT was out at first. Rhys Hoskins the third, everything like that. But they get out of the inning, them being the Marlins. But an RBI for Realmuto. We'll talk more about him later. He's been awful with the bases loaded up. And the Phillies, believe it or not, still without a hit with the bases loaded so far this season. Seems impossible that they're 62 games in now without a hit with bases loaded. But nope, that's the case. We're moving on, though. The bottom of the 4th inning with the Phillies down 4-1. And Trevor Rogers pitching not great, walking a lot of people, career high in walks for Rogers on this one. The Phillies with 2 runners on and a chance to take advantage. Rhys Hoskins comes through again, a towering home run to left field, 407 feet off the bat, scoring Matt Vierling, scoring Kyle Schwarber, putting the game at a tie of 4-4. And you're like, okay, brand new ball game, and the momentum's on the Phillies side. So how do they capitalize? Well, in the bottom of the next inning, and a scoreless top of the 5th, for Zach Eflin. Well, then the Phillies go ahead and get an Alec Bohm single to center field, scoring JT Realmuto, scoring Didi Gregorius. And then off another bullpen arm. So Floro came in, they got those off there. Blyer comes in, and Rhys Hoskins doubles to deep left center, scoring Alec Bohm, scoring Matt Vierling. Rhys Hoskins, 4th and 5th RBIs on the day in that one. And it's 8-4 Phillies with only 3, 6, 9, 12 more outs to get before the game is over. Feel pretty good, right? until you see Juris Familia is coming into the game. Juris Familia comes in, just absolutely terrible. He has been for a while. I don't know why he's on this team. I don't know how he gets innings still. Throw literally anybody else. Throw Bellotti, throw Nelson, throw Brogdon, throw Dominguez, throw anybody. But anyone but Juris Familia. He puts two guys on, and then Brandon Stallings homers to left field, 378-foot bomb, scoring Avisail Garcia and Birdie, who's been killing the Phillies, or at least killed him in game one, scores another run in this one. And all of a sudden, it's 8-7. Great. You got a one-run game. Very little margin for error, and Rob Thompson realizes this and pulls Familia. Then Seranthony Dominguez comes in and promptly gives up a home run to Jazz Chisholm in the first at bat. 8-8, tie ball game. Like, oh my God, are they seriously going to do this? And then they don't score in the bottom of the seventh. Top of the eighth is scoreless, and you're sitting there in an 8-8 game like, man, we might need a walk-off again. The advantage still the home team's way. And in the bottom of the eighth, Rhys Hoskins again. He homers to left field on a really, really high fly ball that barely gets out, only 353 feet. But his sixth RBI of the day comes via the solo shot to put the Phillies up 9-8. And then Corey Knebel comes in the ninth. And he loads the bases and just gives up the game-tying run on a Garrett Cooper single. Then Bellotti comes in a tough spot, gives up two more runs on a line drive to right field by Jesus Aguilar. And just like that, it's 11-9. The Philadelphia Phillies don't score in the bottom of the ninth. Ball game over. So what does all of this mean? Well, let's break it down real quick by what happened, not just by the play-by-play. First of all, Zach Eflin, he got pulled with 80 pitches in this one. That's a mistake by Rob Thompson. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned. Doesn't sound great, but 5 hits in 6 innings, okay. He got burned early by two run homers. After that, he had settled in nicely. Had 4 strikeouts, and with 80 pitches, you've got to let your starter go more than that. He could have gone out for the 7th, and you could have avoided using Juris Familia for just 1/3 of an inning. Maybe you could have gotten a quick 7th inning. And then you consider at 90 pitches, 95 pitches, does he start the 8th? All of these are options that save what the Phillies had happen. But Rob Thompson made a mistake. He went to Juris Familia, and Juris Familia made him pay for it by giving up 3 runs. Juris Familia can't pitch for this team anymore. He can't in any capacity. We'll talk about Corey Knebel, who can pitch for this team in a different capacity than closer, but Seranthony Dominguez needs to never play for this team again. I'm so tired of seeing him run out there and just throw games away that this team fights for. They fight to get back up 8-4 after being down 4-0. They score 8 unanswered, and it's gone in a millisecond because Juris Familia is not a major league pitcher. Doesn't deserve to be on this roster. Needs to be moved. Seranthony Dominguez gives up a solo shot to Jazz Chisholm, whatever. I mean, that doesn't matter if Juris Familia doesn't absolutely stink up the park prior to Dominguez coming in the game. Brad Hand with another great inning, 2 Ks, perfect there to get you to a spot where Corey Knebel can come in. And then Knebel, who had right shoulder tightness, comes in after a couple days of not doing anything, doesn't even record now before giving up 3 runs. I don't even know what to say at this point. Knebel can't be your closer anymore. I know I just recently said, hey, leave Knebel in until he makes a mistake. Well, that's a big enough mistake, and it looks bad enough that he cannot get that spot anymore. Bellotti closes the door on the 9th inning, but those are the issues that just they can't happen. You can't have 2 guys that are throwing premier innings for this team that don't deserve to be on. Well, one doesn't deserve to be on a major league roster. The other one doesn't deserve to be a major league closer. Frankly, that's how I feel, and a change needs to be made, whether it's Mark Appel, whether it's for Francisco Morales, some minor league arms that are throwing well down there. You got to call them up. You got to make something happen. And now to JT Realmuto, who was just god-awful with the bases loaded in this one. He drops a pop-up in foul territory that would have gotten the Phillies out of that inning. They could have gotten out unscathed after the game was tied, rather, because you allow them to tie it in the 9th, but they could have gotten out in the tie game. But instead, Jesus Aguilar's foul ball is dropped by JT Realmuto, and then he hits a double to clear the bases. It's just, how does a catcher not catch? It was awful by JT. He has had fielding yips. He's not been hitting well. A lot of stuff's going wrong for him. I don't know what it is. Unfortunately, it seems like he's going to have to play through it because Garrett Stubbs is fun as a replacement guy, but he's not a viable everyday catcher. So JT's got to pick it up because last night that game was as much on him as it was on pretty much anybody else. And it's just unacceptable how bad he's been, especially considering his contract, his re-signing, everything like that. JT Realmuto is not a bad baseball player, but he's playing like one right now. And he's going to come out of the slump eventually, but he's killing this team. Just is what it is. Nick Castellanos, a little bit better of a day yesterday. He was one of the other guys slumping. He went 2 for 5. He did have 2 Ks, but 2 hits on the day. He's heading in the right direction, at least. JT Realmuto heading in the wrong direction. So we'll have to keep you posted. But an awful game and a lot of people to blame. Rob Thompson's first big mistake as manager, but they get a chance to reconcile it. They take on the Marlins in a chance to win the series still, a day game, and they're seeing a bullpen game. It's a great opportunity for the Phillies. I'll talk about it next and why they need to win this game to kind of wash the taste out of our mouth, but also because they can't repeat history like what they did against the Arizona Diamondbacks in the series ender. I'll explain all of that coming up in the next segment of today's Locked On Phillies. All right, let me ask you something, fellas. Are you ready to pop the question? If you say yes, great. If you say no, also great. You could be celebrating a milestone moment. You could be celebrating an anniversary. You could just be having a birthday coming up for that special woman in your life. You want to find jewelry as unique as her? Well, go check out the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. They got this great tool that helps you build the engagement ring of her dreams. You can calculate size, shape, clarity, the setting, everything that you need to make your ring unique and perfect. And if all those terms mean nothing to you, that's okay, because Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget or a perfect engagement ring, also at every budget. You can also just do fine everyday jewelry. It's not just engagement rings. You want to get some nice bracelets, a necklace, anything like that. Blue Nile's got that as well, and they'll help you pick out the perfect one for your special lady. You can make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement rings. Use code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. So shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Okay, well, the Phils have a chance to reconcile what they did last night. They still have a chance to win the series if they take the game today. Got a great opportunity. I'll tell you about that. But speaking of a great opportunity, well, the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft starts June 16th with over 50 insiders. Nothing equals the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft. The Locked On NBA Big Board Draft experts, plus the Odyssey insiders are all included. First pick is June 16th. So search Ultimate NBA Mock Draft and follow now so you don't miss a pick. And figure out what the Philadelphia 76ers might do with the 23rd overall selection that they have there. Something to keep an eye on. And definitely check out all the work over there from our Locked On NBA channels with that mock draft going. All right. It's game 3, rather. I'm trying to forget that game 2 actually happened because that was a nightmare. It felt like a fever dream when I woke up this morning. Like, did that really happen? Unfortunately, the answer is yes, but we're on to game 3. The Phillies have a chance to win. Actually, they have a good chance to win. You look at the matchup predictor, 53.5% should the Phillies take this one, according to ESPN Analytics. And here's the reason why. The Miami Marlins, well, they've got a bullpen game today. Pablo Lopez, who is the expected starter based on the rotation, suffered a wrist contusion when he got hit by a comebacker on the mound in his most recent start. And manager Don Mattingly says, well, he's not available to go against the Philadelphia Phillies. So Daniel Castano will get the start for the Marlins. Going to be one of those bullpen games where you get Castano for an inning or two, right to the pen, try and work your way through entirely with relievers if you're the Miami Marlins. Now, you remember the Arizona Diamondbacks ended the Philadelphia Phillies 9-game winning streak. They stopped them just short of double digits by beating them with a bullpen game, and they beat them handedly. 13-1 was the final score of that game earlier this week. That was just 3 games ago. Now their opportunity. Can they learn from their experience facing against the Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen and have a different sort of approach to the game. The offense is clicking. They put up 9 runs last night. Now, most of those came off the bat at Rhys Hoskins, but still, guys had to get on to make that work. The approaches yesterday were much better for the Phillies. If they carry that over to today's game, I would expect them to win. And frankly, I would put a good sum of money, and I may, that the Philadelphia Phillies win this game. And I might take them with the run line, which is normally 1.5 runs to give up. So if the Phillies win by 2 or more, you cash. And I imagine they're probably 1.5 favorites. I would take that. And I'd throw good money on that. And I probably will before the game starts today at 1:05, an afternoon game. Kyle Gibson's going for the Phillies. 4-2 record on them down with a 4.41 ERA. 4.41 doesn't exactly stand out as elite ERA, but he's been good this year. He's just had some bad starts, and I think he will end up being in the low 4s to high 3s when the season is said and done. He can take advantage of a rough Marlins lineup, and with a 1.26 whip, 56 Ks and 63 and a third innings pitch, it's not a sure thing that he's going to get the job done. But when I look at Daniel Castano and I compare him to Kyle Gibson, I'll take Kyle Gibson every single time in that one. My biggest thing that I'm going to take away from this game, though, the approaches were significantly better against the Marlins starters than they were against the Arizona Diamondbacks in that bullpen game that the team had on Sunday. So can they carry that over? Can Nick Castellanos carry over his opposite field, looking the other way to get on base type of approach? Can Rhys Hoskins stay hot? Can Bryce Harper? He wasn't cold. He had another hit last night, but can he heat up and take over a game against the Miami Marlins? There's a chance, but the biggest thing is the approach. It felt like when they faced the Arizona Diamondbacks relievers, they were almost too aggressive because they knew that they could hit these pitchers. Pretend it's Sandy Alcantara again. Work them until they give you something. Do not treat these pitchers like nobodies, or they will make you look like nobodies if you're the Philadelphia Phillies hitters. Take this seriously. Not that they don't take it seriously, but zone in on putting good at-bats together, and the rest will take care of itself. That's the key to today's game for me for the Philadelphia Phillies. I'd be very interested who's behind the dish to see if they give JT Realmuto a day off. A series-ending game could possibly be Garrett Stubbs back there, and I'm keeping my eye out for any news about roster moves, but I wouldn't imagine it's coming right now ahead of the series ender. It's simple, though, what the Phillies need to do. They don't need any help to do this. Go out, play your game, be the significantly better team than the Miami Marlins. Come home. Leave home with a victory heading down to Washington. It's easier said than done, much easier said than done, but with a bullpen game for Miami, it's very possible. With Miami's biggest offensive outburst in a while, it means they're probably due for a lower scoring performance like we saw on Monday. And yesterday was anomalistic in many ways. Today, well, take advantage of that anomaly, beat the brakes off this team, and move to 11 for your last 13. That would be a heck of a stretch that I'd be perfecttly cool with. I'm sure Rob Thompson and all the players in the locker room would be as well. I love the Phillies today. I love them win this game. I think they win this game. I don't even think. I'm sure they win this game. You can old takes expose me if this goes poorly, but that's how I feel right now. I'm uber confident heading into this one. Hopefully, I end up being right. But after last night's game, it was a little stressful, right? We need to do some stepping off. We need to step off the mound, take a deep breath. We saw Jeurys Familia do it a couple times. Didn't work. We saw Corey Knebel do it a couple times. Definitely didn't work. Well, we're going to try it, and hopefully it works for us. We're going to have some stepping off, and I'm going to take you back to a much funner game. I've got a question about Monday's game that I want to kind of go through and list my top options for. Break it all down next on our final segment on today's Locked On Phillies. All right, our next sponsor has a product I use literally every day. It's Athletic Greens. I started using AG1, their nutritional health formula, because I don't eat all that well. I'm up early in the morning. I need the energy to get through the day. And my diet, well, it doesn't really reflect that. But it's easy to make all that up with Athletic Greens because you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. It helps you start your day right, and it gives you energy throughout the day. It keeps you healthy, day in and day out. Yeah, it's awesome. You just drink this nice shake. It tastes good compared to like those weird wheatgrass smoothie things that just taste terrible. Not Athletic Greens. Easy to drink. Nice way to start your morning, and you know it's getting you healthy. Let me tell you about the importance of a multivitamin because I don't know, tons of people choose to take a multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high quality ingredients. We don't always know. You ever walk into one of those supplement stores and you see all these things on the shelf and you're asking some 17-year-old behind the counter, which one's good? And they're guessing because they don't know. Well, Athletic Greens has done the work for you. It's a small micro habit that'll help with big benefits, and they've got quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb, unlike some of those multivitamins that are out there that you're buying yourself on random research or just asking people in the store. Athletic Green has done the work for you. Check it out. They're awesome, and they even make it really easy to get started. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply, 1 year, 1 whole year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/MLB Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/MLB Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. I also want to tell you about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your betting stats and sports info. You can find all the latest sports developments, news, and odds, including this year's basketball championship matchup. Golden State has Boston down to their final game. Does Golden State finish it off in Game 6? You can find that out. The hockey finals are going on. Stanley Cup finals. You've got Colorado. You have Tampa Bay. Is there a three-peat? Or is Colorado going to take down the two-time defending champs? Major League Baseball, a lot of good odds to be had. And, of course, all the latest fighting news from MMA and UFC to boxing. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, it's time for stepping off. I explained a little bit before, but in case that wasn't enough, what it is, it's like the podcast equivalent, the YouTube video equivalent of a pitcher stepping off the rubber, taking time, taking a deep breath, and just collecting themselves for a second. You step outside the realms of the game, then refocus. Well, what we do is we step outside the realms of the game by talking something baseball adjacent, but not necessarily what's Bryce Harper's average or what do the Phillies need to do to beat the Marlins. It's more of a fun, light topic to break up the everyday grind of a long Major League Baseball season. And today, I want to take you back to Monday and Rhys Hoskins' walk-off winner, the double in the gap. I don't know if they ruled it a double or a single walk-off hit. Doesn't matter. Well, he had a nice celebration where he got drenched by water from two of the coolers from two of his teammates. I forget who it was that exactly poured the water on him, but it got me thinking. I'm going to put together a Mount Rushmore of my top 4, and that's a Mount Rushmore, there's 4, favorite walk-off celebrations. Not a specific, like, who it was or anything. Actually, you know what? Maybe I will use a specific who it was for some of them as an example. But the types of celebrations that you use, because there's a bunch of good ones for baseball when a team walks it off. So starting at 4, I'm going to go with, well, what we saw. The Rhys Hoskins getting the water dumped on him and everything, not specifically in that instance, but the cooler of water getting dumped on someone. It's on the list. To me, it's a little bit played out, though. And I think it's got to be a little bit annoying for sideline reporters or like dugout reporters, whatever you call the ones on the field. They go ahead and they do the interview, and they almost get drenched for no reason. Like, they didn't play in the game. Like, easy. You don't need to affect random people's work. It's fun, but if I'm that person, I'm a little bit upset. It still deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore, though. The third one on the Mount Rushmore, I'm going to go with the sunflower seeds. You ever see that where they dump the bucket of, like, sunflower seeds and gum all over somebody when they win? No, it's gum wrapped up, so it's not getting stuck in their hair or anything. I like that much more than the water because it's more contained. It doesn't get other people like soaked or anything like that, but it's still something about people throw the sunflower seeds all over. It happens sometime for home runs, but it also happens for walk-offs. I love that. That is so much fun. Number 2 for me, the walk-off home run celebration at home plate. Most notably, I like when I do it, the first place my mind goes to, and maybe yours is different because this is not a Phillies thing, but the Prince Fielder rounding the bases for the walk-off in Milwaukee, jumping on home plate, and everyone else falling down like it's an earthquake. That was, I love that celebration. That's one of my top walk-off celebrations of all time. That's got to be up there. So that's and just the walk-off home run celebration in general is so much more special than catching a guy out behind first or second or third base, depending on where they end up. And there's kind of a mob scene. No, I like where it's kind of more coordinated and they expect the guy to be coming home and everyone's there to celebrate. It got to be one of the greatest feelings in sports. And finally, this one is a throwback a little bit. I haven't seen people do this in a while, but it's from my childhood Phillies and the ones I grew up watching, something great they used to do. You might know it already. The shaving cream in the towel and the shaving cream all over the face. It's just, that one's so funny to me. It's great. Gets all over, and then they got to do the rest of the interview with their face covered in whipped cream or shaving cream or whatever it is that they use. That's so entertaining to me. That's number one easily. And it reminds me of like the Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley walk-offs, where they would get someone to come out, and maybe it was Pedro Feliz, maybe it was Carlos Ruiz, maybe it was Jeff Jenkins would come out and they'd hit him with the shaving cream in the towel. Oh man, I love that. That was such a great move. So get at me in the comments to this video, this podcast, and let me know what your favorite walk-off celebrations are. And I'd love to hear your responses. That's all the time I've got for you, though, today for Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you, as always, for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Check it out. Paul Francis Sullivan, Sully, he's awesome. He knows baseball inside and out. He's covering the big storylines of baseball. The NL East is one of them with the Braves streaking. The Phillies were just on a long winning streak. The Mets, one of the best teams in baseball. A lot of NL East stuff, but he covers Major League Baseball in general for the Locked On Network, and it's a great show available wherever you get your podcasts. Check out Sully on Locked On MLB. Again, that's all the time I've got for you. Please continue to rate, review, subscribe. I really appreciate all of that. The follows on Twitter are much appreciated. Comment and interact, too. I love when you guys do that. But hopefully the Phillies can get a win, another series win, their fourth straight series win in a row, and we move on to a 5-game set with the Nationals with something good to think back on with this Marlins series. Fingers crossed, but either way, I'll talk to you all tomorrow on the next Locked On Phillies.